I have a lot of books that I would like to read before I die. Now, it's not that I want to go out in the world and buy every single book and like read it all. Of course, I would love to do that. But I have a lot of books on my shelf. It's 1,486. I checked before this video. That I want to read. And to be honest, I think in my lifetime I'll read 2,000 books. Maybe. I have a lot of things to do. I don't just read all day. But if I can read 2,000 books, then I can read all the books on my shelf. Ideally, I would like to read 3,000 or 4,000 books in my lifetime, but we'll see what happens, especially as I get older. I feel like I'm going to get busier. So, here are some of the books that I have from my shelf that I would like to read before I die. The first ones are Edward Spinoza's. Wait, is it Edward? Is his name Edward Spinoza? Wait, why did I say Edward? I feel like it's not Edward Spinoza. It's Benedict the Spinoza. I don't know why I said Edward. Anyways, I just got these in the mail the other day. Really excited about this. And it's Spinoza's collected works. It's volume 1 and volume 2. There's only 2 volumes. Everything Spinoza ever wrote in 2 little books. I love when publishers do this. I hate having to track down individual books of writers, because like there are a lot of writers who I want to read all their complete works. I have to play this guessing game of, oh, do I already own this? And is this just another way of marketing the same exact writings that he published before? They do this with Jung and Bertrand Russell. They'll literally take something out of Jung's books, one of his bigger books, put it into a smaller book, and call it a new book, and market it to you for £20 or $20, whatever currency you prefer, okay? So this is Spinoza's complete works. Super excited to read this. I would love to read this before I die. He's one of my favorite philosophers because his ideas are interesting and his philosophy of life I agree with. Now, I have so many books on my desk, I need to make sure I don't obstruct the camera. Okay. Next one, Aristotle's. That's a lot of glare. Aristotle, the complete works of Aristotle. Some of you saw this in my library tours. You'll definitely see the Spinoza ones in my next library tours. I'm not a super big fan of Aristotle, but I do want to read all of like the core Western philosophy thinkers, even before like the ones that are well known, like Plato, Aristotle, Socrates. There are these thinkers who came from some island in Greece. I can't remember the name anymore. But like Zeno comes from there. Parmenides. Is it Parmenides? Yeah, it's Parmenides. And some other guys that come from there. Aristotle is obviously one of the traditional Western thinkers. He arguably has the most influence on the Western thought process. So I want to read all of his works, complete volumes. These were definitely worth the purchase. Next on my list are Edward Gibbon. Are Edward Gibbon's books. I love Edward Gibbon simply because of the way he writes, but also I really like Roman history and Ottoman history. I think again, when it comes to history, my 2 favorite areas right now are going to be like Roman, Ottoman, and the whole like debacle that went on between the French, the Canadians, the British, and the Americans. That period as well. That's really interesting stuff, especially when it comes to the Founding Fathers. Edward Gibbon's 6 volumes, The Decline of Rome. I read Livy's The Rise of Rome. I think he has a 32-volume set, but they're like much smaller. And I think The Rise of Rome is volumes 1 to 5. And there's like a little origin story, a little mythology about the origins of Rome in there, which some was corroborated by evidence, but some wasn't. Yeah, this is a great set of books that I would love to read before I die. I don't think they'll take that long. They're just volume 3 and 6 are big, and the other ones are kind of small. They're like the same size as like ended. Maybe a little bit bigger than Benjamin Franklin's autobiography. Shouldn't take that long to read. So that's on the list. So another writer is Karl Popper. People don't like him sometimes. I don't know why. I feel like he's pretty moderate in his beliefs. But I guess being a moderate's not cool. These are some of his books. The Open Society and Its Enemies. This is probably, I don't know, it's one of his more famous books, or volumes. Some people prefer this book, The Logic of Scientific Discovery. I'm torn between the 2. We'll see, because I haven't read these completely. I've read like chapters. The Logic of Scientific Discovery is a great book. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see which one's the best. I don't have nearly all of Popper's books. Like, I have 4. And I know he has like 10. There's a lot of books out there of Karl Popper. It's going to take me some time to get through them. The next one is Derek Parfit. Derek Parfit's Reasons and Persons. This is a great, great book that was recommended to me by someone on Bookstagram. I have not read it yet. I bought it like 2 years ago. On What Matters, Volume 1 and 2 by Derek Parfit. These are, one, really aesthetic books. I love the covers of these books. Very interesting. Right. Tell me those don't look delicious. But also the subjects are really good. Like I think he deals with like core subjects in philosophy that have been talked about for generations, and he kind of gives his take on them. Okay. Next one, I think I have all of Cicero now. I could be wrong. But like every time I go on Amazon, I see like or if I go to a bookstore, I see a Cicero book and I'm like, oh wait, might not have that one. Cicero, The Selected Works, The Nature of Gods, Defense Speeches, The Republic and the Laws. The Republic and the Laws. Yep. Political Speeches, On Life and Death. And then this one I recently got, On Obligations. So these are basically, I think, all of his works. Maybe not. Probably not, to be honest. But I do want to read all of these as well. I'm super excited to read all of these. The next ones are William James's Principles of Psychology, Volumes 1 and 2. I got these books now maybe 6 years ago. I was literally playing Grand Theft Auto 4, I think, and these books arrived in the mail. This is how long ago I got these books, and I still haven't read them. I've read other books by William James, like his book on pragmatism. I think he has 2 books on pragmatism, and then 1 book on emotions. Oh, and the religious experiences, which I actually don't own. I need to get that. These are some of his like more impressive books, though. Like his other books are okay. His emotion book was kind of influential, but I feel like these are his like really, really good books, because these arguably are like the rudiments of neuropsychology. There's actually a really interesting model of writing, a neuropsychological model of writing in here. William James, I feel like, writes really obtusely. It's very esoteric, so this will be hard to read. But I definitely want to read these. Next ones. History of Religious Ideas. I wanted to look for a book that so I actually stumbled across this accidentally. And I was looking for a book that covered it in 1 volume. And then I saw this, and I saw the word Volume 1 and Volume 2. I was like, oh, okay, so this is a couple of volumes. This looks like it's going to be like a heavy study. I'm into that. I want to read that. And so I bought them all. The first one is From the Stone Age to the Eleusinian Mysteries. Eleusinian, I don't know, man. I don't know. What does this cover? I mean, from the Stone Age, obviously. I don't know. Mesopotamian religions, okay. Ancient Egypt, Mediterranean. So this is like the older religions, okay? What's this one? From Gautama Buddha to the Triumph of Christianity. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Okay. Let's see. What does this go over? The religions of ancient China, Brahmanism, first philosophies, Buddha, women religion, Celts, Germans, Thracians. From Muhammad to the Age of Reforms. So this is obviously probably going to be Middle East, right? Abrahamic religions, maybe. Yeah, this will be good stuff. Good reading, really interesting stuff. I recommend you read these too. Next one. This guy, I will read all of his books, every single one of them. There's only 32 of them, I think. Excluding the red and blue books, red and black books. It's Carl Jung. I have quite a few of Jung's books so far. I haven't read them all. Spoiler. And actually, this is Joseph Campbell's Portable Jung. He edited it, put it together. I read Man and His Symbols, and I read a few other books, but I haven't read all of these. And to be honest, I made a mistake of reading Jung and then stepping away from Jung, because Jung is like, he's like a systems philosopher, and there are a lot of ideas that are really esoteric and require you to understand 2 or 3 sentences from another book that you maybe read like 7 months ago. Like for example, in this book, he really clarifies what he means by the process of individuation, and how individuation can only be done through dreams. When I tell this to like people who maybe read 1 or 2 Jung books, they go, "That doesn't make sense." But no, Jung has that belief. It's literally written word for word, verbatim, inside this book. Yeah, individuation can only be done through dreams. Yeah, I need to go back probably and read this book and maybe this book, and then dedicate like 2 years to reading all of Jung's books. Because there's a lot, they're big, thick, esoteric books. Now, another writer who I want to read all of their books is... Wow, that was dumb. Bertrand Russell's books. I have a few of them. I'm slowly collecting them. Russell has 82 volumes. They're smaller books, as you can see, not as long as Jung's. But I feel like, to be honest, some of them I looked at, I'm like, I don't care about this. Like when he wrote on, is it the Vietnam War or something like this? He wrote some, I don't know, he wrote some like war essays. Maybe like maybe there's a few of those that I would read. But like some of his other war essays, I don't care for that. I care about more of his like, philosophy in like of society, or of his theories of knowledge or mathematics. Don't want too much commentary on his political stuff. But I'll try and read as much as I can, right? So the ones that I do have are Mortals and Others, Human Society and Ethics, Power. This book was like a 5 out of 10. I reviewed this book if you're interested. Conquest of Happiness, also reviewed this book. This is 7 out of 10. It's actually pretty good. Principles of Mathematics. I also have this Introduction to Mathematical Philosophy, but it's a much smaller book, and I thought it was actually kind of a meme book. And Theory of Knowledge. This is a famous book. You'll probably, if you hear any like claims about Bertrand Russell's epistemology or like his belief systems, it will most likely be based off of what he published in this book. It's his like theory of atomism. That and like definite descriptions and stuff. So yeah, those are Bertrand Russell books. Now the last thing I want to do is most people won't do this, but it's case law books for American case law. I want to read at least, I want to say, I don't know, I want to read a lot of these. I do like reading law because it's like, it's the epitome of metaphysics, actually. I feel like reading law is the epitome of metaphysics because it's all done through analogy. When they say treat like cases alike, what they really mean is my analogy is sufficiently persuasive to establish that this case is similar to that case, okay? And I mean, that's basically kind of what metaphysics is doing. It's like pure reason, and then you apply the pure reason to reality. There's great stuff on like the standards of evidence. I have a standards of evidence textbook. And then like the Restatement of Contracts, the 2nd edition. This is like 3 volumes books about. It's basically an authoritative source that makes your arguments persuasive in case law. If you don't have an actual case, it's just another source to read from. Yeah, I want to read a lot of these. I don't know how many, man. I would say ideally 1 for each area of law, but that's ideally. And these do take a long time to read. These take me about like 3 months to go through. They take a very long time. And as a result of them taking a very, very long time, I never end up having the most up-to-date case law book. I actually stopped buying them until I have a few here. Like, I think this is Information Privacy Law. I think this is 2021. Yeah, I have a few newer editions, but you can see some of these are older editions, and they're not up-to-date publications, so there might be new landmark cases or something that authors want to talk about. The Aspen case law series I do want to read. but and sometimes you don't get what you want in life, okay? It's still an ambition. So those are some of the books I would like to read from my shelf. I haven't read them all. Like I've read 400 out of 1,500, right? So I have a lot of books that I would like to read. These are some of the ones that I definitely want to read, and I think other people should read them. I don't think everyone should read as many case law books as I'm going to read, obviously, and maybe you don't have to read all the Jungian books, but read some of the core ones. Definitely read Gibbon. Gibbon's a great writer. But if you think I'm missing any like books that I should definitely be reading, let me know. Some of them I already have read or like have, like, I don't know, I'd say like Das Kapital Volume 1, 2, and 3, that should be read. The Wealth of Nations, that should be read. What else is there? I don't know. Like, there's other books. I mean, even Dale Carnegie's How to Influence and Influence People. Bit of a meme book, but I do agree with the principles. That should be read. There are books that you should be reading that aren't on this list. These are just some of the ones that I want to read. And some of you guys, again, have good books to recommend me. I'm totally open to your suggestions. I bought some books that somebody recommended on my last video. So that would be great to get into those. But with that being said, without rambling too much more, bye bye.